Hello and welcome back to Seaside Cinema. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you. There was such a giant outpouring of love and support when I started this channel, and I was not expecting that. I didn't think any of my followers would be into me talking about movies. Anyway, today's episode of Seaside Cinema is about the Netflix series Ratched. It just came out on Netflix on Friday, I think. I watched the entire thing in 2 days. It was awesome. Ratched is a prequel series. It's based off of the novel and then the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I used to watch that movie very often because it was rated R, and I thought that made me very, very cool. So I am familiar with the character and the universe. However, the thought of a prequel series never crossed my mind ever. So this series stars Sarah Paulson as Nurse Ratched. That's too many S's. Sarah Paulson is the main character. The first time I ever saw Sarah Paulson was in the movie 12 Years a Slave, and anyone that has seen that movie, I don't think you can ever unsee her as that role completely. And so I was already kind of prepared to see her as a horrible person. And while there are a lot of interesting side characters and a lot of great performances across the board, I've always wanted to say that, Sarah Paulson is definitely the show. And she really impressed me. And is my mic on? Oh God. I forget what episode it is, but there's this one scene where she's explaining something about her past, and it just holds on her face like on a close-up, and you really get to see how great of an actress she is. The show was developed by the creator of American Horror Story, Ryan Murphy, and I have to say, this series feels a whole lot like a season of American Horror Story. And not only because it has some of the same actors, it does have Wittrock, who I will never unsee as that baby guy from season 4 of American Horror Story. But he was really good in this. I have seen some things. I've seen the movie probably like 10 or 15 times over the years. I hated this character with a fiery passion of 1,000 flames, and I never would have guessed that I could ever feel empathy for this character. But Ryan Murphy, Sarah Paulson, you did it. After I finished the series, last night I went back and I watched the movie again to see if that empathy would bleed over into the actual movie. I still hate her so much. I still hate her so much in the movie, but I really did feel empathy for her in the show. And the movie is like 15 years later, so a lot can happen in 15 years. No spoilers, but I did get a little worried towards the end of the show that it was kind of going off the rails a little bit, but they got it all together, and then the last episode was actually probably the best. I think the tide's coming in. Quick shout out to Cynthia Nixon as Gwendolyn and Judy Davis as Betsy. Also, there's a woman that plays a character named Charlotte, and she doesn't have the biggest role in the show. I think she might give the best performance of the entire show, which is full of really good performances. Also, the guy that plays Justin in 13 Reasons Why, I don't remember his real name, Brandon Flynn, I think. I saw some things in this show. All in all, if you had me sit down a year ago and write down like 50 characters that I would want a prequel series for, Nurse Ratched I would never think of it. But I was surprised by how consistently entertained I was by this show. There were a few parts, a few character scenes where I was like, alright. But then something really big and shocking or violent would happen, and I'd be right back in. It never got boring long enough where I was like out of it. It does kind of feel like a lighter version of American Horror Story, like AHS Diet. And here's a sentence I've never said before. I kind of wish they went more extreme with like the violence and the shocking parts. Based on the character, that's what I assumed it was going to be about, and for the most part it is. But as the show goes on, it's still good, but it kind of drifts from American Horror Story Ryan Murphy over to Pose Ryan Murphy, just a little bit. If you see the show, you'll know what I mean, I think. However, their performances hold it together all the way through, and there are enough interesting things and shocking things that it kept me entertained the whole way through. I do think it's worth watching, and I will give it a 7.2 out of 10. The tide is definitely coming in, so that will conclude episode 2 of Seaside Cinema. If you found this helpful or entertaining, please give it a thumbs up. This is a very new channel and I'm still trying to figure out the mic and the camera, but I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you supporting me. It means a lot. And I am going to leave before I get swept away by the ocean. Thank you for watching. Peace.